So here we are again, Lisa. This is exciting. So what are we
Yeah,
going
it
to
is
talk about
exciting.
today?
I think it'd be fantastic to talk about letting go, which is the fifth step in the cocoon to butterfly transformational process. And since we're about inner wisdom and accessing the inner wisdom, it just seems like it would be a great topic, Dale. My
It's
sister, 6,000 miles away in Spain, but as close as my own heart here.
it's strange, isn't it, being like so far away, and at the point that we're recording this, there's lots of
Yes,
restrictions going on in the world, and
yes,
it's not like you can just jump on a plane and go places. We
right.
can, but there's problems and stuff like that. But how amazing that we can let go of that and
Yeah,
use technology to be so close.
yes, I
It
love
is
that.
truly wonderful.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of letting go is really interesting, because right at this point of the time that we're making this, and I appreciate that people will be listening and watching this, goodness knows when, but we've just had a full moon in Gemini and the
Mhm.
sun is in Sagittarius. So I'm not an astrologer, but I,
Yeah.
I do avidly read things, and I use that kind of stuff in my journaling. So I'll read a load of articles and I'll pick words out that
Ah,
resonate with me. So I'll journal around some of the
yes.
themes and some of the words. But what
Mm,
was really fascinating for me is I wanted to, I always like to write a blog about the full and the new moon, and when the sun moves into a new sign. I think they're great prompts for journaling. But what
ah,
happened to me this time, I got massively triggered by somebody who's very close to me, and being there, thought they were being very caring, and they just went on and on and on.
ah, yeah.
And I felt that old childhood,
Hmm.
you're not good enough, coming up.
Ah,
Oh, it
yeah.
was horrid, Lisa. It was absolutely horrid. And I'd done all this journaling. And on the Saturday night, I'd done a lovely a full moon releasing with a lady called Yasmin Boland, who has a book called Moonology, and she's got Moonology oracle cards and stuff like that. So I did this. It was absolutely lovely. Had the fire going, all sorts of stuff. Did lots of that full moon letting go. The
Ah,
following morning, it suddenly hit me that it wasn't that I needed to let go of stuff. I needed to let go of parts of me
yes.
that I no longer needed to hold on to.
Exactly.
Oh,
Beautiful.
what a revelation.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Yes. Well, and I think that's exactly the point of wisdom within, of what we're up to, is that recognition of that inner wisdom. You may be looking out at the moon. I know the moon was magnificent in
Mm.
California, just magnificent. And I had several friends text me and they said, "Are you looking at the moon right now?"
Mm.
And one of the things that for me is probably the biggest medicine of letting go is beauty, because I think beauty stops the mind. And
Mm.
I was so entranced by just stopping and looking at the moon
Mm.
that my all of, like what you were talking about, that all of the stuff, the stresses, all of that rah, 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 stopped, and there was just this opening, like a bud becoming a flower, of just presence, of beauty, of stillness, and it was so magnificent. And I think that also, in looking at the really in learning to think symbolically, which is I think what we're both up to in
Mm.
different ways, is having certain words trigger and allowing us to think symbolically. It's powerful to allow let's say in this example, the beauty of the full moon stops us, and it allows us to open up to something inside also that's perhaps wanting, like the caterpillar letting go of itself automatically because that larger life is moving it into
Mhm.
becoming a cocoon. You know, we too have that
Mm.
same process, this inside and outside, and we're weaving together those worlds.
That's truly, truly beautiful. And I think beauty,
Mm.
it does that. It kind of takes the breath away and it takes the sting out of something that might be going on. So like this morning I had to go to hospital, and that meant like a really, really early start, because it's an hour and a half's drive for me from where I live in my little mountain. And I like to give my dogs a walk. I can't let go of that.
Yes.
Other people, I guess, would just lock them in the house and say, well, it's hard luck. And I kept thinking, oh, I've got this responsibility. I've got to take my dogs out. So as the light came up, I took them down into the Rambler, and I had my fingers crossed that there was no wild boar in the Rambler, because it was like, please don't let there be any piggies out there. So I kind of had to funny that we talk about letting go. I had to let go of that fear. And of course, my mind was scrambled about this forthcoming hospital appointment. And then I looked up. So the moon is still there, but so as I went out, it was all grey and black, but shooting out like that. And I went down into the Rambler, and then I turned around, and obviously the sun was starting to come up, and all the sky was streaked in orange, and I'm like, and then I got a little bit further around, and I turned around again, and I just kept taking photos. But what it did for me, it took away that churning head, because I kept thinking, wow, just look at how magnificent everything is.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so interesting, because this morning as well, I went down, I ended up getting in a little bit of a challenging conversation, let's say, with my husband this morning, as we were laying there on the pillows, just loving each other, and having a conversation. It ended up getting heated, and I felt that I was right and he was wrong. And so I just said, okay, I have just a little slice of time, but I know I'm going to go in nature, because we have a lagoon here that's just beautiful. Yeah. So I'm walking in the lagoon, and and suddenly I recognize that I have taken this position of I am right, and this is it's very strong in me. And so there was this stopping, and we're talking about the outer moon, but when I was in stopping, I went inside to my heart, and my heart was illuminated like an inner moon, and I just stopped, and there was just this presence inside my own heart. And I'm like, yes, this is the truth. And I'll get off of being, I'm right, and having this whole conversation and he's wrong and yada, 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 and be present beyond the thinking and beyond the positionality. One of the great quotes I've been playing with of Rumi all week, and I love it, is stop weaving and watch the pattern improve. It actually starts out with, silence is eloquence. Stop the weaving and watch the pattern improve. So in my case, just going into silence in the lagoon and recognizing that I needed to stop the weaving, the working, doing, blah, 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 that just, I've got to make this happen. I've got to weave it. I've got to weave it working, right? And just, just being in the radiance of the heart. Like, oh, yes, I can trust life. I can let go and allow love really to lead. Because I think that's what we're doing in that process.
Very much so. But isn't it curious that we have this fight to be right?
The fight, yes. Oof. The fight to be right. That would be a great title for your next book, huh? Or maybe the book will write together.
Well, maybe.
Right.
But we do have this, one of my big things, and I know this is from childhood, I was a little wild child, and, every time my parents tried to tame this naughty little, child with hair all over the place, she would not do as she was told. It was, I could imagine, I see pictures of me as this little child, and there's this wildness about me. And I've grown up with the don't you tell me what to do. And I have to, when somebody offers me advice now, I have to go,
Yeah.
listen to what they're saying, because actually that maybe they're not telling you what to do. Perhaps from their heart, they are
Yes.
sharing something that they see.
Yes.
But you see, we have these things, don't we? We hold on to them from childhood. And
Yes.
and they become unconscious patterns, and we don't know we're doing stuff until we're like right in the middle of it, going, yeah, 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 like nagging someone or doing something, and then it's like, oh dear, I've
Exactly.
done it
Well,
again.
and again, in the passion that we both have for journaling and creative expression, it's part of recognizing the process of waking up and recognizing these things that are running us. And so we can have the courage to let go and really let the larger life live through us. Like that caterpillar doesn't really let go of being the caterpillar. It just suddenly becomes the cocoon, which then suddenly lets go of the old skin and becomes the butterfly. So I think we too have that if we can just trust it and let go.
And that's like, when you were saying that, I, again, very visual. I saw a picture of a snake
Yeah.
coming out of that old skin, being that
Yes.
new fresh person. And I
Yeah.
felt like that this week. I wrote a blog about that, letting go of those parts of me, and it was, it was such a powerful, this whole moon, such a powerful process. And what it's given me, and I'm sure you feel we'll see, hopefully, maybe feel the same way, is when you do that letting go, all of a sudden it's like it's been like a whole load of barnacles have been attached to you, and you just go, actually, that doesn't serve me. I don't. And there's this picture of clarity. So
Yes.
I had a whole load of stuff going on, like, should I do this, and I hate the should word, should I do this, and should I do that?
Right.
And I was kind of being nagged, I'm going to call it nagged, to follow a different path. And once I'd journaled and I'd written my blog and I'd done all that letting go, I had the most amazing clarity. This was what I was going to do, because this is what fed my heart. What
Yes.
anyone else thought I should do or should be. And
Yes.
while I was pretty annoyed at the prodding, actually, I am truly grateful for the gift. Without the prodding,
Yes.
the going inside to that wonderful wisdom within,
Yes.
and allowing that process, so shedding that old skin and coming out and going, oh, I wonder what the world's like with these new ideas, this new perspective.
Yes.
Without having any of that, I'd have been at my old self. And now I'm not. I'm new. I'm born again.
But then again, the practice that you did, the writing practice that you
Yeah.
did, whatever it is for our listeners that empower them to have more self-awareness. I mean, for some people it's yoga, for some people it's, being in nature, whatever it is, do it. So it allows you, to break free of that old cocoon skin and to feel your wings and to see, oh yeah, now I'm moving into a different chapter and I see where I'm going. Even though we need to be in the unknown to be fully also alive, also that clarity that comes. I know that too from years and years of daily journaling, where there's this, all this stuff is spinning, and I taking the time to let the words form on the page. It's such a powerful process.
It is amazing. I just started with a group of mine. It's called 21 Days of Manifesting Magic. And one of the first things I do is I get people to draw around their hand in their journal, and then write their intentions and do, very, very, colorful. And I absolutely love that whole thing of, like, putting the energy on the page. So you bring you to the page, you just draw around, kind of do your own mandala and your own intentions and stuff. And it's like, for me, that's, even though that's this is what I want to go forward with. That is a letting go process, because we're letting
Yes.
go of the things we don't want, and we're setting intentions for that moving forward. So I did that. I did that last night when I went to bed, and I sat there with my doggies and all my pens, and it's just such a lovely process. Such a lovely process.
Yeah. And I think also just recognizing that, we always are in change, like, like the body is letting go continually, and so to allow it to happen, to be fluid and to open to what wants to happen next by doing the practices. Again, going back to what is it that you can do, like you did last night with the hand, just going back to what works and working it. But again, I say working it, and then I go, wait a minute. And at the same time, paradoxically, silence is eloquence. Stop the weaving and watch the pattern improve. So it's both and, the active principle and the more passive, or the being, the doing and the being. Somehow we're called to balance, especially in this Western world that we live, where it's so, doing, action oriented, and the success heroes are often these people that have, they have 14 billion followers on whatever media, and and that's, anyway, we have to let go of that to also come back authentically to who we are.
And I think that while we would love the world to journal, what you said earlier was really important, is people have to find their thing. Their way of entering that silence, that eloquence that you talk about. And just because we love the journaling thing and would tie everyone's hands down and say, you will write, we wouldn't tell anyone what to do. But it's finding your own thing, like mine is writing in lots of different forms and taking my dogs for walks. They are the things that just fill my heart.
Well, I'm thinking of mindfulness too, because that's such a powerful practice. And I notice for myself, one of the luxuries in a way I give myself is time when I eat. Like this morning, there were a lot of things on the agenda, but I said, no, you were going to take yourself. I made a bowl of food, in this case, hard-boiled eggs, cheese, nuts, and an organic apple, all in a beautiful bowl. And I took it to someplace beautiful where there's a view. And even though there was this impulse, I got to send this text. I better get up to I just said no. And I kept coming back to the beautiful apple, and going into the tree that it came from and saying thank you. And just with every breath, eating the food with presence. And, it takes 10 or 15 minutes at most to eat a meal. But that, for me, it was giving thanks and being present with the food that I was eating. And I just, that's a small little thing that we all can do, in some way, whether it's food or, grooming ourselves or whatever, but just really delighting in the joy of the moment.
Do you know, that's so funny. I listen to books on Audible, but on my phone. So sometimes when I go for a walk, and I've just started to get really addicted to listening to novels. So when I took the girls for a walk tonight, I put the latest book that I'm listening to on, came home, knew that we were talking, so thought, well, I need to prep some dinner and whatever. And I like to sit and eat at the kitchen table, but I have I'm going to confess, I have a terrible habit, is while I'm eating, I'll get my phone and I'll flick through Facebook and stuff like that. Of course, when you're listening to a book, you can't do it. So this is really training me to go, don't go on your phone. So so this evening I ate spaghetti and asparagus. Not very exciting, but I did enjoy it.
Yes, good.
And
that's the most important thing.
It was lovely. I wanted something just light and not too heavy after such an emotional lead up to today. But to listen to the book while I'm eating and be transported into that story. I mean, I keep wandering around the house and going, you need to turn the book off. You need to turn the book off. You've got things to do. And I want more of the story, and I want more of the story. And there's something so powerful about not using your mobile phone and to actually lose yourself in a different way. So what you did was magical. It's too cold for me to sit on my terrace at the moment. So
Yeah, I understand.
I sit there with a hat on in my kitchen going, oh, it's so cold. You eat your but that I think you're right. It's so important to have a mindful practice when you're eating. And one of the other things that I've just learned about myself is I always thought that I could only journal in bed. I actually, I actually really love journaling at the kitchen table. I love it. There's something really quite. The words old-fashioned come a bit like being a child doing your homework at the table.
Right. That feels good. Well, and another Rumi poem comes to mind about letting yourself be silently drawn towards the stronger pull of what you truly love. And I think what we being drawn towards what we truly love, however that shows up, like like suddenly finding yourself at the dining or the kitchen table eating, and that feels good in that moment, but allowing ourselves to follow that pull of what we truly love, what truly brings us alive. And I think that's powerful. And then letting go and letting life, we say that we're letting go, but really life, we're just allowing the larger life to move through us. We're just allowing something, a natural force to move through us. Like this, your analogy of the snake. Is the snake pulling off his skin, or is he just wiggling, to get out of what is no longer alive and no longer him?
Wiggling. Wiggling to get out is my answer. I wonder what anyone else would think. I think he just wiggles and he leaves the past behind, or she.
So as we move into a conclusion, I think it's so fantastic that we can have this dialogue, even though we're 6,000 miles apart, but
it's amazing.
In the one heart, and just to encourage us as individuals, but also anyone that's listening, to also, what are you going to do after you listen to this short conversation between Dale and I? What's one small little thing you can do to let go and to release everything that you're not?
And I've got nothing to add to that, because that's what I would have said. It's always that one, just because, I think we make too big a thing about things that we've got to do. And all we ever have to do, and I've been watching that. Ever since we started talking, I've had my eye on that, because you said last week that you were going to.
So this was a sculpture that was a woman, the head was obviously up here and this was here, and it fell over. And when life falls apart, make art, right? So this had fallen apart yet again, and it had been sitting there for several weeks on my to-do table. I have a table of little projects. So it came up in our last conversation. So I knew I had to do it. My one little thing was to recreate this little amethyst here, and an amethyst also from South America, from a trip to the Amazon. And this pen, I silk on top of it to sort of honor the spirit of the power of the pen.
I've been watching it ever since we started talking. And I thought, I've got to say something about your newly created. That is fab.
Well, and then we are continually creating the art of our lives, and we're all artists. The artist is not a special kind of person. Every person is a special kind of artist. I think it was Meister Eckhart that said that. So the one little thing we can do in the art of our lives, just do it in the next hour. That one right now, it comes to mind. Oh yeah, I can do that. Just do that one thing.
I wonder what my one thing will be. I think my one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sit on the sofa and I'm going to get squashed into a dog sandwich and I'm going to watch rubbish TV and go to bed early. That's really my one
Fabulous.
thing. My one thing is I am going to put my hands on my babies and just feel the
Oh,
energy of the three of us together and our love. That's what I'm going to do.
I love
My
it.
one thing.
I love it.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
oh,
In fact, that's one of my favorite things to do because we have this tendency to always have our mobile phones with us. But
yes.
of course, if you've got two dogs, you've only got two hands and you've got to tickle them both at the same time. You can't use
So
your
cute.
mobile phone. So
So
I
great.
encourage everybody to get two dogs. Two dogs, a journal. Well, what else do you need? Two dogs and a journal. There we go.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Perfect. Lisa, where can we find you?
At lisalongworth.com, lisalongworth.com. And just come visit, say hello. I love to be connected to people. So send me an email, and or you can go on Amazon. This is the new book. This is the original book.
Fabulous.
And together we soar.
Oh, fantastic. So
How about you, Dale? Where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me on daledarley.com. And I want to tell, I don't know if I've told anyone about some of my latest books. So these little journaling books have been around forever. My favorite is, I absolutely love this book. It's just a little book of affirmations. So this one says, oh, this is quite apt. Today I'm eliminating and making space for healing and possibility. Now that's a message from spirit, because that is perfect for me. So I'm going to be journaling on that tonight. But I've also very shortly, my first journaling through the chakras book, the root chakra, is almost live, and I'm very excited. So we both have some beautiful books for people to delve in and explore who they are. And go and get those pens and journals. Start scribbling.
Yes, and do it now.
Do it now. Straight away. Do it now. Go get your pen. Go get your pen and your journal. We implore you. Get your gens and journals. Get your pens and journals. It's a good job that wasn't said in a different way. Anyway, everybody, you can find Lisa at her website and you can find me at mine. And we so thank you for listening in or watching us, whichever medium it's on. And we will see you for some more Wisdom of the Heart next time.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.